Australia is bracing for more out-of-control bushfires later this week as another heatwave approaches. Fresh evacuation warnings have been issued for Victoria and Kangaroo Island.
Despite days of cooler weather and light rainfall, dozens of fires continue to burn in South Australia. The impact is still being felt in major cities like Sydney, which again has been shrouded in smoke haze. The Sydney Harbour Bridge, Opera House and surrounding buildings barely visible.
Prime Minister Scott Morrison has appealed to tourists not to cancel holidays to Australia. His comments came while visiting the popular holiday destination of Kangaroo Island. More than a third of the island has been burned out, and early evacuations have begun ahead of that new risk forecast for the next few days.
The residents in Vivon Bay have been evacuated from the area. Police, SES and CFS crews have been driving down the streets of Vivon Bay, knocking on doors, encouraging people to leave now before the weather gets worse. We saw a little taste of the weather conditions today. Strong winds this afternoon and a wind change sparked a flare-up on the fire ground, but tomorrow it's expected to be even hotter and the winds even stronger. So the CFS is concerned that if the fire breaks, containment lines, residents in Vivon Bay and the town of Pandana could be at risk. That's why they've taken this unprecedented step of getting people out now. So far, they've been heeding the warnings. We have seen people leaving before conditions get worse tomorrow. They've been evacuated twice this week now, and most of them are residents or locals of the island, so they've been monitoring conditions throughout the week. We spoke to a family a short time ago, a family of 4 who are from Sydney, but they have a holiday house here. They've been here for the past 3 weeks. They've said this is now the second time they've had to evacuate in the past week. They've got some friends they're going to go and stay with in Kingscote for a night or two until they're allowed in. They say they're not going to be allowed back in until at least Friday at this stage. So everybody's just remaining hopeful and remaining optimistic that we don't see any more damage and devastation here on the island, which has so far seen so much of it over the past week or so.
This summer has seen one of Australia's worst bushfire seasons. The scale of the disaster is enormous. Let's first take a look at all the fires that have erupted since the season began in September. Today, there are fewer fires, but 128 are still burning across New South Wales, Victoria and South Australia. More than 10 million hectares of land have been burned so far. That's approximately 140 times the size of Singapore. In fact, it would cover a wide area of Indonesia and Malaysia as well. More than 1,800 homes have been destroyed. Thousands of residents have been forced to evacuate. Some experts estimate that 500 million animals have perished. Others have been displaced and injured, devastating decades of conservation efforts. People on the ground have been struggling to contain the blazes for months now. More than 70,000 volunteer firefighters have been on the front line, and this week they were joined by 3,000 Army reservists who have been called up for the first time in the country's history. Firefighters from Singapore, New Zealand, America and Canada have also joined the efforts. Now, Australia is no stranger to bushfires, but conditions this season have been unusually severe. Extremely hot and dry weather has fueled the rapid spread of the fires. Experts believe the main cause is climate change, which has changed the surface temperature of the Indian Ocean, a phenomenon known as the Indian Ocean Dipole. The temperatures of the sea surface is warmer in the western half of the ocean and cooler in the east. Now, this has resulted in more rainfall and flooding in eastern Africa and droughts in Southeast Asia and Australia.